Jackson, you said that you're just feeling it today, like we're gonna catch something.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Is your feeling normally right?
No. But he basically compared this place to a lesser form of hell. He said hell would have more amenities than this place. There's also mythology around people leaving mirrors outside of the house.
Is it if the ghost sees itself or something?
It's so the devil is so caught up with himself.
Okay.
If he sees himself in the mirror, he has to admire himself. It's really bad, some of the things that happen with our basin ecosystems just due to runoff. I feel like a lot of stuff might be a little politicized.
Sure.
So definitely trying to find the truth is big. If we want stuff tomorrow, we got to protect the stuff today. And it's just a fact.
All right, so this is the man, the myth, and the legend, Jackson.
What's up, y'all?
Jackson, you know just about everything about fishing, man.
That's what I'd like to think.
I appreciate you taking me out here and showing me the ropes and some stuff, and I'm really looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, I am too. Been a minute since I've come out here and fished down here. I've been up at Tech.
What do you do up at Tech?
So I'm a fish conservation major, both fresh and marine. I do a lot around the school. I'm a part of the bass fishing team at Tech. I made the hockey team, chose not to play. It's a lovely school up there. There's a great spot to fish up there at the New River. So that's how I spend my pastime.
Cool.
And it's a blast. I love every second of it.
Well, like, what got you into that?
I would say just growing up where we live, you know.
Right.
Here there's a lot of fishing to be done. Fishing is a huge industry and part of what keeps this huge naval town afloat outside of the military. And just growing up and getting to see how beautiful the bay is and how much water is around us, I think that's really what just honed me in on what I wanted to do.
Like, what made you decide to change, from hockey to going more to fishing and wildlife?
I've had some bad knee injuries, so that was kind of the catapult.
Really?
Yeah.
Man.
I have some bad knees, but at the same time, I knew that I probably wasn't good enough to make a career out of hockey as much as I loved it.
Yeah.
And I think that fishing was a great alternative to still be able to do what I love.
Yeah.
Be a productive member of society and get a job.
You were telling me one story about how you got into a fight, like about something with your mom.
Yeah.
On the rink. Tell me about that, dude.
We were beating this team pretty bad. It was like 9-1. Then I scored a goal on the next shift.
Yeah.
After stealing the puck, and he came up talking to me. He was like basically talking about how he did all this stuff with my mother. The classic your mom sort of jokes.
Right.
So I had to shut him up with that goal, but I kind of got in a fight. I got kicked out. It's the one suspension I ever had in hockey.
Wow.
It was 100% worth it.
Yeah. Where are we going right now?
Right now, we're going to a really cool pond. Real simple spot, but what makes the spot so great is that it connects directly to a river, and water usually comes jetting out of that. So you get a lot of cool river fish that you would never otherwise see in a pond. So we get a lot of like croaker, spot, all that mixed in. It's a very like brackish water pond, which is really unique. And since you always have that water flowing, there's a lot of new things coming in. There's a lot of shad. So the bass get really big. There's some really, really big fish in here.
What's your favorite fish to catch?
Well, up until about a couple months ago, I would have said largemouth for sure.
Oh, really?
I'm a big largemouth fisherman. That's what we'll be trying to catch today.
Okay.
But up at Tech, there's a lot of smallmouth, and getting to fish for those has been an eye-opening experience. They fight a lot harder than a largemouth.
Really?
And they're a lot smaller. It's a lot of fun to fight them.
I've done quite a bit of bass fishing. It's been a couple of years because last year I normally do it during the summers. Yeah. And last year I was just super tied up and I didn't make time for it, and I was bummed out about it. But this summer I want to get more into it. Oh, I've got the Billy Joel on Dude Zanzibar, man. That's a great one.
I know, it's a good one. I love my music. I gotta listen to a lot of the old stuff before I go fishing.
Really?
Yeah. It gets me going. It gets the fish going.
So that's your like pre-fishing ritual?
Yeah, it is. I love listening to music, and especially the old stuff. Yeah, I love Billy Joel. He's just one of those special artists that I feel like is kind of timeless. You know? Like his music is still really relevant today. A lot of people listen to it. It's great at storytelling.
It's storytelling. A good story transcends time.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the things I like to bring, like you say, with my music. It's like, it's really based around stories and storytelling. At the end of the day, I'm gonna die, and you gotta have a story to tell or something to leave that's bigger than just a love song or just a heartbreak song.
Yeah.
Now, what do you find are some of the key differences between pond fishing, say, in a neighborhood like this, or freshwater or saltwater?
So I would say really the biggest thing between like smaller bodies of water and, like you just said, you know, bigger lakes and saltwater, just the amount of area you have to cover, you know? So typically on a lake, you want to fish something a little faster moving so you can get further down the lake, because there can be whole stretches of lake where there's no fish.
Okay.
You know, in a pond, it's a little different because everything's stuck in this one hole. So you can really pick stuff apart, fish it slower. Well, it's more advantageous for catching fish for sure. But yeah, it's really the same process. You're just trying to break down certain parts, because every lake, every pond is different. Okay. And different structures mean different things. Okay. Let's get to casting, baby.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. And you said that you're just feeling it today, like we're gonna catch something?
Oh yeah, 100%.
You're feeling, is your feeling normally right?
No, not at all. I mean, it's probably like 40, 60. Okay. You know, halfway right. Right. Just under.
Halfway right is still right, you know?
I know, right? A lot of times we'll sit right up against like a log because there's warmth on the log. Right. So I would say that's probably one of the most underutilized tools in the wintertime, because a lot of people say, oh, I just need to fish deep. Yeah. But sometimes those fish don't go anywhere. They just get tighter to cover. We're going to head that way.
One of the things I love about bass fishing is it's one of those that you just know as soon as it's on. And I love how it's a real fight for these guys.
And like you said, it's like as soon as they hit, they're going crazy.
And you got to like keep them in the water and not let them jump, you know? Yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh, that was it. So he just closed his mouth on it. Yeah. And was sitting there with it. Dude, there's so many geese out here. And they're kind of a problem. Fun fact, like, so geese turds are like so acidic. That like burns the grass. Really? And it's like kind of bad for the environment. Basically like a migratory bird treaty. You can't kill migratory birds. And since they migrate from Canada to here, they're seen as protected. I've been attacked by a goose out here. Actually, it was right here where we're standing. But there was a goose over there. And I knew that this goose was on the net, trying to stay as far away from them as possible so I wouldn't get attacked. Well, this goose just had a problem with me. The goose comes flying after me. First, he was like over there like with his girl, and he was like doing this weird eyeball thing. And then he turned right towards me and he was like, and I was like, oh, what is he doing, right? Yeah. I was like, that's kind of weird. So then I turned. He's on that bank over there. I turned, make a cast, and then all I hear is woo, 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 woo. I turn around, that goose is halfway across the pond. I dropped my stuff and I was gone. Oh, when I tell you haven't seen a fat kid run so fast in your life, I was gone. I was terrified. Oh,
you see that? Mm-hmm. We didn't catch any fish at that pond. So where are we off to now?
So we're gonna go fish another neighborhood over here. This is a golf course pond, so we might have to duck and dodge a little bit.
Off camera, I asked you about whether or not Virginia, specifically coastal Virginia, has any specific species that are native.
I would definitely say yes to that, but really what makes the bay so special is how instead of one specific species really owning an area, it really is a harbor town, not only for people but for also creatures from both the north and the south. So it's really like a melting pot, and a lot of animals that would otherwise never see each other are interdwelling, and there's a lot of bigger species from the ocean that come in to nest their young, like bull sharks. Okay. And a whole bunch of other shark species. We get all sorts of migratory birds, fish, and amphibians down here, which is really neat. Okay. And something that you'll really see nowhere else. It's probably one of the most diverse and most species-rich areas on the planet. Wow. With harbor towns, right? Like you think about settlers who created these harbor towns, and some of the harbor towns that we made are still very prevalent. You think of Philadelphia, Boston, even right here in Norfolk, Virginia. And it's neat because these areas were specifically built to take in travelers, weary soldiers, weary sailors who really just needed a rest. Okay. And that's really what this area is for animals as well. That's probably one of the coolest things about this area is just how diverse it is. Different cultures, different animals, everything. It's really one of those areas where the people really fit the landscape. I caught my biggest fish of the year here, just at 6.5 pounds. Wow. I'm hoping that we can hook into some of them. nitrogen and phosphorus feeds algal blooms, right? And you're thinking algae, well, algae creates life, you know? Algae is the biggest photosynthesizer in the world.
Okay.
So you would think it's a good thing because creating oxygen for the rest of us, but the thing is too much of it can kill an ecosystem by basically blanketing the water.
Okay.
Thus killing everything underneath it because there's no way for sunlight to get through. It's really bad, some of the things that happen with our basin ecosystems just due to runoff.
I read that like oyster bars are super effective in that algae buildup because, you know, they eat, that's their primary food source. So they eat all that and it regulates. So I saw a lot of work that a lot of organizations do planting more oyster bays to combat that.
That's one thing that really can help. And right here, oysters are a very native species.
Sure.
So it's good to have them because a lot of other creatures can eat those, right?
Right.
By planting more oysters, you could definitely help cultivate the rest of the bay. And right now, we have a problem here in the bay with zebra mussels, which kind of outcompete oysters.
Okay.
They were introduced here sort of illegally, and they've kind of taken over the bay. So it's important that we also kind of take care of some of those problems. Oh my gosh, that hawk just got something. That was cool. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it.
A hawk just flew out of that tree and got a rat or something. That's the first time I've ever seen that.
I must have missed that.
I speak a lot about the beauty of this area.
Yeah.
And, you know, just how crucial of a cradle it is for life here on the east coast of the United States and how many creatures use this place as a nesting ground. But the first settlers who came here often wrote in their pretty lengthy journals. They were pretty well documented. They hated this place.
Really?
They found that the land was, and I forget the name of the settler who wrote this, but he basically compared this place to a lesser form of hell. He said hell would have more amenities than this place. Thousands of years ago, it was basically all savanna here. We had the coastal plains and the bay looked pretty much the exact same, but all of this area that we see around us, it was mostly taller grasslands with a few trees scattered throughout. And there were probably decent wildfires, very tropical birds like parakeets. We had a Carolina parakeet that actually didn't go extinct that long ago. There's actually a program trying to bring the Carolina parakeet back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And there were bison, there were lions, and we even had our own type of pronghorn, which you can only find out in the Midwest now. We're always finding, whether it be, you know, fossils of the animals or artifacts of the human beings. With each finding that we have, you know, it creates a new view of the puzzle.
Yeah. All right, Jackson, so we're here at the Dismal Swamp and the Dismal Swamp Trail. And you have any insight about any of this stuff?
Yeah, so the Dismal Swamp is actually the third largest swamp in the entire world.
Wow.
It combined with the Chesapeake Bay, I believe, is the largest connected body of water outside of the Mediterranean and the Great Lakes.
Really?
So it's really a unique area, not just for the East Coast, for the United States, really for the world. So this canal here is probably one of the neatest little areas in this town. It connects the Albemarle Sound and the Outer Banks to the Dismal Swamp. A lot of good fishing to be had in here. I catch a lot of catfish right off of this dock. Like I said, summertime it's even prettier, but it's really pretty right now too.
So a couple of weeks ago, when we were talking about this initial idea about talking about wildlife and nature, especially here in coastal Virginia, you brought up your experience in the Appalachian Mountains.
Oh yeah.
And being at VTAC and being right there in Blacksburg, Virginia. What's been some of the experience you've had?
And let me tell you, the mountains are weird. They're really scary at night. They're pretty, but there is a certain element to them that you really can't get here with that fear factor. The mountains are a different animal. You know, there's a lot of mythical creatures of folklore up there, but at night it can get scary.
Really?
Yeah. Gone on some camping trips. We've woken up to deer outside of tents. It's been really dark. There's trains that don't sound quite right. Lots of screeching going on. There's been bears not that far away from us. Getting through those mountains and trying to get down to the water can be scary in of itself. One night we woke up and there was just a whole bunch of activity all around the camp. That sense of eeriness, you know what I mean?
Really?
Wherever you go. Appalachia is very rooted in its mythology of course, Native Americans, they had their own mythological creatures that they feared, starting with things like the Wendigo. It's kind of more of a slender being that would hide behind trees and call out and lure you in.
Okay.
You know, of course, when Christianity came through, there was a lot more demonic detail.
Okay.
Kind of threw on to some of those mythologies. People will leave out broomsticks with lots. They make sure to have lots of bristles on the broomsticks because it's said that the haints, aka ghosts, have to count each bristle before they can come into the house.
Right.
So a lot of people leave out broomsticks to make sure that they can keep out spirits possibly looking to prey upon you.
Really?
There's also mythology around people leaving mirrors.
Is it if the ghost sees itself or something?
It's so the devil is so caught up with himself.
Okay.
If he sees himself in the mirror, he has to admire himself.
Okay.
And that'll last you until daylight.
Gotcha.
You know, when people are so isolated the way that they are in those mountains,
right,
you can definitely see how things like that have kind of shaped the popular culture. So many people, you know, when you go through those mountains, you will see a broomstick in almost every house.
Really?
You will see a mirror at a lot of houses.
Wow.
So it really has like kind of taken the culture. Some of the slaves would escape, and they actually built a society pretty much in the heart of the Dismal Swamp. And they actually didn't figure out about this until almost late into the 1700s, almost 1800s.
Whoa.
Basically have their own society in the middle of this swamp, living off the land to survive. And no one knew about it for basically a century.
That's insane.
It's pretty neat just to think that that's how remote it is out here, that someone could
literally go for hundreds of years.
Yeah, without being discovered.
It's nuts. So in addition to fishing, you're also into conservation.
Big time.
And protecting wildlife and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any like organizations that you work with or support?
My personal favorite is definitely the Chesapeake Bay Foundations. I gotta say, they absolutely do a phenomenal job. We've had some really bad algal blooms in the past, and we've seen a huge drop off in recent years due to some of their efforts. So they've done a really good job, and that's probably my favorite out of the more major nonprofits that work around the bay.
Chesapeake Bay Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So like what can people do to help, whether it be, you know, help conservation, protect wildlife, say someone like me who isn't going into a field of biology or wildlife conservation, how can folks kind of be conscious or help out with being more sustainable?
So I would say it's a combination of a lot of things. But overall, it's just making sure that you clean up after yourself. Like I said, if you're in the position to be able to donate to some of those nonprofit organizations, please do. But overall, it's just being mindful. You know, I feel like a lot of stuff might be a little politicized. So definitely trying to find the truth is big. So just trying to educate yourself and being mindful of where sources come from. A lot of people will try and push a political agenda along with conservation, and that's not how it should be. If we want stuff tomorrow, we got to protect the stuff today. And it's just a fact. Conservation is a lot more than just saving trees and saving turtles. We have to be able to live with and around nature, and we have to coexist with it. That's really the biggest thing, is just being mindful, getting educated, and just trying to do the best you can.
This is Jackson Orr, everybody. Thanks again, Jackson.
Nah, thank you.